Hi everyone, N.A.T here, and today I wanted to show you how I created kind of like a saturation-like effect using multiband compression in Ableton using stock stuff. And yeah, so let's get started. And by the way, I have kind of like Einstein here today, but who cares, man? I want to deliver good value here. So I'm here in Ableton, and I actually created kind of like a beat, 2-minute beat, kind of like a jam. I created all the sounds as usual. I created the drums, the synths, the effects, just so I could test this saturation like effect on a decent mix, with enough sounds. So we're going to play this track all the way through, but as a bonus, I will also show you how I made. Oh, sorry. how I made the sounds later in the video. I'll put the timestamps in the video so you can scroll through if you want to navigate better. Maybe watch how I made the sounds first and the saturation later, whatever order you prefer. So let's get started and let's give this track a good listen. Let's go. Oh, it's muted. All right, so as you can hear, this is kind of just like a jam, and the track isn't normalized to 0 dB because of OBS. I was recording in order to record this at the right levels. So what I was thinking was I wanted to basically explore more what upward compression, what I can do with upward compression, because usually I barely use it. I usually just go like this. As you can see, I just compress from the top with downward compression. And now don't look at exactly what I'm doing here. These are very fast time variables, but there is a reason for this, and never follow everything everyone says, both because I may be wrong, but also I I'm still learning, and I think one reason why we get lost as people who try to learn on YouTube, um, one of the reason is that there's all this information, and a lot of that could be wrong also, but in the end, sure, you should kind of understand the basics of the techniques, but then what to do exactly, um, like you should pick and choose what to do exactly and create your own process, in my opinion. That's how you will get things that you like to do. So let's go back with Command Z to where I was. So the idea here with upward compression, which means compressing from below, which means compressing the dynamic range from below, which means making quieter sounds louder. The idea here was, well, first of all, that I barely use it, as I said, with a real intention. So I wanted to experiment to see what I can do with it, especially in a mix that, I find that in order to understand compression, you, like the basics of it, you understand it much better when you have like a raw sound, like acoustic drums or vocals that have a lot of dynamic excursion, volume excursion, a lot of changes in volumes. But when you're working on a mix like this, like mine here, that's already pretty balanced, it's less intuitive to understand kind of what to do with compression. Let me disengage the multiband dynamics here and hear how my track sounds without the multiband compression. Let's also delete this. This was just a test, and also ungroup this so you don't get lost. This is my mastering chain. So let's listen to how this sounds. Now I'll loop this part and pay attention here. I'm going to A and B to turn these multiband compressors on and off, okay? And we're going to listen to the difference. I'm going to use my keyboard here, the 0 key, and let's listen. So the difference is probably for you almost unnoticeable, and the reason is that if we look at the waveform of the song using an oscilloscope like this, you will already see that the mix I did isn't that dynamic, As you can see, okay? That's why I said that compression isn't that intuitive when you're working with synth sounds that you created that don't have much change in volume, for example, or drum sounds that are already compressed and so on. So I tried to push these sounds from below, but I didn't get that much of a result. Let me give you an example. I did this. I tried to push these sounds from below, but I wasn't hearing much of. Obviously, when you go like this, it's pretty obvious, but it's also bad sounding. Now, it is limited here because I do have a limiter for you so I don't destroy your ears here at the end, okay? This master, it's like it's unfinished. I still have to to maximize it, okay? But yeah, you get this sound that's kind of overcompressed. Or maybe this could be like a good, like added level. Let's A and B. So I'll let you experiment with that. But what I wanted to do was based on this idea that we don't have much dynamic range already, so there's not much to compress. But there's something else I could do, and that comes from what I learned from the Wizard of Bass, Seamless R. Okay, is that basically when you distortion, which also includes saturation, is basically compression, but with very fast time variables. And let me show you what I mean. And this is what I mean. So as you can see, these are the attack and release settings for each band. And these are the time variables for the attack and the release for each band. Okay, and if we put them very, very fast like this, now FL Studio users have much in-depth stock effects like Maximus and stuff. You can put these time variables at 0 actually. But here we have only this, so to speak, only, but that's good enough, because now I'll let you hear what this does. Might be easier to listen, for example, on one single band. Let's listen to just the mid frequencies. Can you hear all that distortion? Let me go slower with the time variables and you will notice the distortion disappearing. But if I put it, if I set it faster, you'll hear distortion coming out. And this is kind of the basics of compression, you know. You're always told that with time variables that are too fast, you'll get distortion, okay? But, you know, in this case, where there's not much to compress in the classic sense, we could try to add some artifacts, maybe some saturation, some distortion. That's what we could use upward compression for in this case, okay? So now you'll see me turning this down, so making the time variable faster, and you'll hear more distortion coming out. Okay, so now that's a lot of distortion, okay? But we can dial it down, so let's try that. Now, again, I might be wrong, not sure. I actually researched it. Saturation, like this, might not be saturation, because saturation creates new harmonics, while this is just ideally, well, it should be kind of like saturation distortion, because the time variables are so fast that I am distorting the sound and creating new harmonics. So yeah, after all, it is distortion. Okay, so you can dial it in, and that's what I did here in this instance of multiband dynamics. As you can see, I didn't do much. These are the ratios I used, so they are not very high. I also had added some in the lows and some in the highs, even though the highs I'm actually using some expansion, meaning I am increasing the dynamic range, because if you go down, like, oh no, wait, I got confused. So I am actually here only using upward compression here. This is like a little bit of expansion here which means I'm going down, negative, which means I am increasing dynamic range just a bit. Honestly, I could also have not done that like this, okay? But I kind of liked it like that. You could try it also sometimes with expansion rather than compression. But yes, going down here again, we can hear that this can work kind of like a bit of saturation, okay? So let's hear to what I did here on the highs, for example. Let me remove this compression so we can hear only what I am adding here using fast time variables and upward compression. So let's hear that again. Yeah, so it's very slight. I'm not even sure you will be able to notice it. And also there's a drawback with this method, which is that you'll need then to hey, I want you to go back. Can you go back? Wait a second. Okay, so the drawback is that if you use this trick to kind of create a saturation-like effect, you'll need then to work with very high fast time variables on the downward compression side as well, and it can be a little tricky. I was able to pull that off with high frequencies, but here I had to kind of slow these time variables down. For example, the lows, if you hear the lows, they were distorting because this time variable here was too fast. I'll show you what I mean. So now it sounds like this. And with faster time variables, it sounded like this. And I didn't like that effect. So let's go back to 40. Okay. All right. Then another thing is that I find actually that, yes, compression is cool and all in mastering, but really the how well the sounds sound like comes from how well you design these sounds, okay? So now I will show you how I made the sounds in the track. And let's also reactivate this OTT. And let's also hear to what this OTT adds, okay? Now, usually when I add OTT, that's what I do. I put it on my sound or my master or whatever, and then I dial this amount. I just experiment with the amount and find the sweet spot where it sounds like it's being OTT'd, but also it's the spectrum balance isn't messed up. When it sounds nice, basically, according to my experience, basically. So let's do that. I'll show you what I mean. Now there is too much. You can also hear that it gets in the highs, especially in the like 3K area in the spectrum. It gets unpleasant. So around here, it starts to become good, in my opinion. And so where to decide where to set it, I find that this is kind of sweet spot for this type of track, and where to put it exactly, I decided based on how well the punch in the track is, how well the sound, how well the balance is, comes out in the sounds, and so on. So at 0, I also put it at 0 to check if the track was better before OTTing. I also like when the music sounds, you know, natural in a way. So it's nice to push it with effects, but I don't like it when you can hear that it was mixed and mastered just to add, uh, just to impress. I don't like to impress. I like the thing to sound natural because that's what lasts, in my opinion. So I figured at 13 it sounds like I'm adding some more brilliance, spice, excitement, but not too much when it's still sounding natural. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the sounds. So, as usual, I start from drums when I'm creating a new beat. So, as you can see, as you know, in my channel, I'm showing you that I'm creating all my sounds all by myself, because including drums, effects, because I believe that it's better. It's better because it's not necessary if you don't want to do it, but if you're like me, that you care about music that sounds very good and unique because it's true, okay. Not necessarily you need to make your own sounds, but in my case, I prefer to do that because it just adds to your own style. It makes your music, the pieces of your music fit together better and create a more robust style, in my opinion. So let's take a listen at the drums. This is a kick I created a couple days ago. It sounds, oh sorry, I didn't show you the Ableton. So by the way, I work usually in drum racks. I prefer to work in drum racks. As I said, you might hear all the time on YouTube people talking about working in audio. You have to work in audio because it's better, blah blah, editing, blah blah blah. But I don't like it, man. I just don't like it. It's just not fun for me. It has to be fun, in my opinion. And for me, it's fun when I work with drum racks, and also I can do a lot of cool things in drum racks, actually. And one cool thing, for example, I can build my clap to make it really cool. For example, this is the bass of the sound of the clap. And then with other notes, I added kind of pre-shifts, shift 1 and shift 2. And shift 2. And together, they sound like this. And together with a kick. And I can be very surgical with that. And that's amazing. I like to work like that. So, starting from the kick again. This is the kick I created. And you'll see on my channel a lot of videos about kick creation. And they're also in my drum synthesis playlist. You'll find all the videos about how I make my kick drums, how I make my claps, and so on. So I won't explain to you how I did it right now exactly, but you can see I EQ'd it a little bit. I like to high pass it. It makes it sound cooler and also fits better the track. Also, high passing, basically, a general guideline, very good guideline in my opinion, very useful for EQing, is that when you EQ a part of the spectrum, you're basically making the parts that are on the sides more clear. So that's what this high pass does. Basically, it clears up a little bit of the mod here in the sub-harmonic, whatever they're called, frequencies, and you hear the tail, the sub better. And also the punch of the kick, as I explain in my videos about kick drum creation. This is the most important part of the kick, in my opinion. And here there's kind of like the punch of the kick, and I find that cleaning it up kind of here just makes this part shine more, as well as this part here, which is kind of like part of the transient. If you set it lower here, wait a second, let me remind, 337. Okay, so if you set it more here, you might think that you're making the kick sound more clean. But actually, as I said, when you turn this down here, you're accentuating these frequencies here and these frequencies here. And by accentuating these frequencies here, you're making these louder, which will make these frequencies louder, as well as kind of these frequencies. Sorry, if you're making these frequencies louder by making these quieter, you'll also mask these frequencies here that are more necessary. So I think it's better to clean it up here in this case, in this particular case. And again, I might be wrong, and that's why I EQ'd it like that. Then the clap. This is the original sample, actually. Very different from this. The reason is I wanted a shorter clap, and as you can see, you can do whatever you want with your samples once you create them, of course, or even if you use samples from packs. There's nothing wrong with that, but again, I like to do this, and I just used a couple tricks here to make it fit better. Actually, quite a lot of tricks, so I won't be able to talk about all of them because this will be too long of a video then. So I used the bandpass filter here to make it sound more like a clap, because this was kind of like more of a noise part in the sound, because it was kind of like a clap combined with a snare. And I figured that I'll show you this actually right now. So I'll show you what I mean. Why did I use a bandpass filter? Because it makes noise sound like a clap. And I'll show you where I got this idea from. And I got it from this instrument that you find in Max for Life in Ableton. Okay, if you go here, you should have these instruments here that sound like this. Oh, there's no preview, I'm sorry. But yeah, I used this sound, and I made a complete song just using these sounds. An amazing song called Concepts of Time is on my channel. I suggest you go check it out. But if you look, for example, at this snare instrument, okay, there's low pass, high pass, and band pass. And take a good listen. If you use high pass, it sounds like this, like a snare, okay? If you use band pass, it sounds much more like a clap, right? Wait, I was trying to get my launchpad to work, but it kind of glitched. Anyways, so okay, so band pass creates clap, high pass creates snare, and low pass creates kind of more like 808 trap like snares. Right? Again, high pass and band pass. So that's where I got this idea from. And I dialed in this bandpass filter, added some erosion to get some high frequencies back, then some OTT to make the sound cooler, basically. Again, EQ, because this frequency was too prominent in the mix. And also it was, since it's a sample I made, it was kind of weird in the stereo, so I dialed it back here. And some gated reverb using FabFilter Pro R. It's subtle, but it's cool. Okay, then I created the pre-shifts to the claps that sound like this. Maybe not the best sounding, but basically these are this clap, kind of modified using the frequency shifter, more band passing. Yeah, band passing, basically band passed just some parts of it to create some variations. Won't go in the details here, but this is how you create those pre-shifts, those. Okay, and then I just used other samples of mine. This is how this sounded like originally, but it didn't fit the track, so I made a whole lot of variations to the sound to make it sound like this, which fitted the sound much better. And I find also that using quite a lot of compression, a fast compression, makes the hi-hat sound not piercing, because it's easy to create hi-hats that sound piercing in the high frequencies. So it's important to tame those frequencies, because high frequencies can become very easily very annoying to the ear. So that's why I got this compression here. And this, without it, let's hear how this sounds. A little too much attack. Then it's also, you know, all about your taste and everything. And this track, again, playing around with the shifter to change the sound and cleaning up the low frequencies. It's another sample I created from a track called Blackout. Go check it out, it's also nice. And together I created with these samples this rhythm. And here it's like this, and here it's like this. Then I created the main bass sound, which is this, not even a bass sound, it's just like a synth, main synth sound. I won't go into details, but this is what I mean when I say that you should kind of let your hand guide, you know, let your hand do its thing when you're setting these synthesizer. Let your intuition guide you instead of thinking of what you should do. And what I like to do usually with Silent One is just to create these kind of sounds that are like oscillators combined, basically. Oscillators at different octaves combined. And I won't go too much in the details, but this is what I like to do. It's all down to taste. And then I resampled it to create cool variations like this. And this, oh my god, re-enable. And this. And this again. Okay, and last, no, not last, almost, this pad here, this is one sound I was a little unsatisfied with this beat, because again, I thought of what I should do, and I thought I should use Silent One again, but actually I didn't listen myself again very well, and I should have used another synth I wanted to use. I wanted to use Analog by Ableton, this one, but I ended up doing this sound, which is, it is what it is. I used a little bit of FM basically to create it, and reverb to create more space. And last is the effects. So I just wanted to fill up the mix to try to create to try my saturation, upward compression thing, and to fill it up more, I wanted to create an effect. And basically, what I did was to use a white noise sample. I created these white noise samples, which are just white noise in different lengths. I don't have them right now, or maybe I can show them to you quickly. So, white noise, arrangement tools, audio white noise, as you can hear, as you can see, and these are just samples of raw white noise. In different lengths, 2 bars, 4 bars, 8 bars, 16, 32 bars. And I just use sampler and a filter to create this sound. Let's listen. As you can see, I'm using a low pass filter with an envelope that's going down. And what really makes it sound good, it's this circuit here, because you can just play around and you'll see that the resonance, which is turned up a lot in order to make that sound, it sounds different when you use different circuits. Let me show you. And by the way, this may be too loud for a second, but just for demonstration, let's hear how those different circuits sound like. Let's hear clean first. And now this one. So as you can hear, this one is a little less piercing, and I liked it more like that. Then I didn't go too much in depth with the sound design, because I just wanted to get a quick and easy effect. Erosion to add a little more, to smooth out the spectrum a little more. As you can hear, without it sounded too much, just like a sound. Instead, like this, I am adding like more noise, because by filtering with the filter, I removed part of the noise, which I still wanted. I wanted like a not only the but also the effect. Okay. And then I used simply multiband dynamics to tame that initial part of the resonance decaying, which you can see here. This in this region can be very ear piercing, so I am controlling it with this band basically, up until 5K, which means up until here. Okay, so in this range here. And then adding some reverb, I guess, but I left it off, I guess. And I tried some ODT, but it didn't need it. And then I recorded this on a resampling channel, and I placed it in another sampler, reversed it, so I can also have the reversed effect. Let's hear to the reversed effect going into the main effect. Okay, nice. And it all has a little bit, and it has a little bit of sidechain as well, or actually a lot of sidechain, because when it goes down to minus 50, minus 30, it's almost like all the way down, so it's a lot. But I felt like it was better like that in this track. All right, so let me know your thoughts about this, if you liked the beat I created, and hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching. See you next time.